Welcome back to my channel, where this time I'm going to rank every boss's difficulty on 3 stars. And this is a tier list that I made myself because the other tier lists were missing bosses, such as, the Anniversary with Cheese bosses and the old versions of some bosses like Redbeard, Bulldozer, and Dr. Bright. So I made my own because it was missing bosses. And as we can see here, we have the suffering tier, the problematic tier, the average tier, the casual tier, the light work tier, and the didn't fight tier. It should be pretty self-explanatory. Average is, the middle. Didn't fight is for the ones I didn't fight, such as Captain Red, Scarlet Storm, and Dr. Despair. As well as, I guess, technically, Sergeant, Scrap Sarge, and Game Kid and his little minion, because, well, they are actually technically possible to 3-star. I haven't killed them. I refuse to kill them until Chapter 6 comes out. So I guess, yeah, technically we can put those guys there. But there is a secret tier that will not be revealed until later, because I have a tier dedicated for a specific boss in mind. Now, to the actual rankings. Alright, for the first entry on the list, we have Paintmaster, who's going into Lightwork tier. I struggled more with 1-star Paintmaster than I did 3-star. Why? Because my dumbass decided to go back and grind stages after I realized, well, I don't have the strength to kill Paintmaster. So I grinded my Slinger to level 10 and then used Stunner. I used Stunner to kill Paintmaster. A boss that cannot be stunned. I don't know what I was thinking back then, but I'm glad I'm not as dense about using certain things like that nowadays. Next up, we have Terminator, casual tier. He's a pretty easy boss, however, because it was the second main chapter I was doing 3-star on, my brain still wasn't fully, out of the gutter yet. So I didn't fully understand what to do and whatnot. Now that I know, though, it probably would have been like 3-star. It was one of the stages in 3-star chapter 3, 2 more, where it was just an endless amount of cheap units like Battler, Travel, Tumor Battler, Tumor Travel probably, and then like Slinger or something like that, and that just beat the stage by itself. Probably would have looked more like that instead of me, using slower units or whatever. Alright, next up we have Jetrock and Hellfighter. Both of these are going into Lightwork tier, because, while Hellfighter is definitely the more difficult of the two, but either way, they aren't really that difficult, because the peons are pretty much non-existent, meaning they can't really carry the boss, and the boss doesn't have that much DPS either, or really anything to help push against you. The worst thing that's there is arguably the Gatling, that could just shred down your units, assuming you don't have something like Little Doombringer to use against Hellfighter, that is. Alright, we have our first end of chapter boss here, Doombringer, who's going into the average tier. The peons can be a bit difficult because, well, you don't have the stuff to take care of him, really. At least at that point. And the shockwave from him going into phase 2 is very deadly because it basically just kills everything. And then his rage mode allows him to push hard and fast, and most of your units will probably be on cooldown. Meaning it's a rush to kill him before he kills you, kinda. Can be difficult, and to be fair, I don't think I had Sniper back then, which made the phase 1 take a while as well. But ultimately, average tier. He's middle of the road, kinda. He was my first 3-star, so that's to be expected, I guess. Alright, now we have Deathbringer. Deathbringer is going into the problematic tier. Before you guys eat me alive because he's very easy due to Vulcan, keep in mind, I didn't have Vulcan, and I was very guide adverse during this time period. I tried beating him with my own strategy, which was like Hobo and Conjure or something. I mean, it worked for 2-star, but it very clearly didn't work for 3-star. And eventually, after a while, I caved and looked up a guide. I was forced to use a gotcha-less guide due to the fact that all the other guides had Vulcan in them, a unit that I didn't have and wouldn't have for a while, actually. And so I was forced to use a loadout consisting of Battler, Trowel Battler, Speed Battler, Little Doombringer, Telemon, Mafia Crip, Barbaric Battler, and Grenade Battler, with investment in Slammer as the bank and cannon. It took a bunch of attempts. It took a while. But eventually I did kill the spinning Beyblade and claimed my Tumored Battler before I even beat 3-star Turking. Yeah, I don't know why I decided to do 3-star Deathbringer before beating Turking on 3-star, but probably would have made it a hell of a lot easier if I did. But using Tumored Battler against 3-star Turking does sound funny, so I guess it was worth it in the end. Although this guy definitely did make it to where I 3-starred pretty much all of normal mode before moving into chapter 2 on 2 more mode, which I'm glad I did because of a certain somebody that will be mentioned later. Alright, next bosses we have are Birthday, Celebration, and Giant Noob. And, yeah, I don't feel like I need to say anything more really about them. I mean, literally, Birthday does nothing. Celebration, I mean, he also doesn't really do that much. And Giant Noob is pretty easy as long as you just me-shield against him. So, light work, no reaction, pretty much. Alright, next up we have Fuse Coil and his gang members. Now, Fuse Coil is also just an extremely easy boss. And can my mouse work properly? I swear it's been bugging on me recently. But I don't think Barbed Battler could solo Fuse Coil on 3-star by himself back during chapter 3. But even still, Fuse Coil, very easy boss. I mean, he's unfortunately he's just a pushover, which is disappointing because I really like his design and whatnot. I think it's cool, but oh well. Alright, now we have Soul Fuse and the Coil Souls or whatever. They are going into casual difficulty because the boss fight is pretty easy. The main difficulty really just comes from the super buffed up coil roots, such as the Ragester, very strong, and the Spear Raiders that just spam basically a recoil cannon at you during the entire stage. But a small trivia thing, I'm pretty sure the souls of Speed, Regen, and Gravity, they are actually the Coil gang members, because I'm pretty sure their personality lines up. Which, I mean, it's interesting at least. Certainly not what you'd imagine Fuse Coil to turn into. Next up, we have Redbeard and Bulldozer. Redbeard, light work. The worst part about him is the consistent super knockback spam that he does, preventing your Talmons from getting close to him. Bulldozer is casual tier, because the only dangerous part about him directly is just the C4 phase. And, the peons such as Shieldman and Treasure Seller kind of end up carrying him, to be honest. Alright, DJ Radical. DJ Radical himself, light work. He basically just sits there and does nothing. The car, on the other hand, I'll give it an average, because, 200 damage at base magnification is a lot of damage. And I'm pretty sure he basically just, two-shots a Little Doom, at 3-star, so the car is very annoying. That's arguably the most dangerous part about him. And Rockstar Radical. Also light work. He literally is peon carried. The definition of peon carried, pretty much. Bombcopter, also light work, because unlike the car that, actually poses a threat, all the helicopter does is just fly there shooting like rockets or whatever. He's not like ramming you down. The helicopter, to put it simply, the helicopter is no damage itself. Pretty sure all it does is consistently give that super speed buff that he does. But usually by that time that the helicopter comes out, you've already pushed them to the base, so you're just waiting for the helicopter to die pretty much. Next up, we have Turking and his superfan. I'm going to say casual. It's either casual or average. I am leaning a bit towards. I'm gonna give him casual, and I'm gonna give the Telmon superfans average. Now the thing is, Turking himself, at least back then, he like the most dangerous part was really just the vomit. Until like the vomit and him spawning in 2 superfans. That was basically the only parts you really have to worry about. Because otherwise general meat shielding just pretty much counters him. I mean, all you really need for him is just meat shields, maybe Little Doom, Talmon, and then like Mafia Crip, and then archers for backliners. That's pretty much all you need to use, and you can beat him pretty easily. The Talmon superfans, on the other hand, they have the damage output of a Titan Battler, while also being able to heal like a Talmon. And back then, instead of just being 1 with 1,000 HP, it's 2 of them with the same HP as a Titan or Talmon Battler. Which means they have double the damage output, which means they can push pretty hard, actually. Which is why I'm putting them above Turking, ironically enough. And, yeah, no, you're gonna wait there, buddy. You're gonna wait there for a while. Bedridden. Straight to the suffering tier. Every attack back then had super knockback. However, he only had 80 base damage. Every attack had super knockback. The rock attack, where he throws 3 rocks, every single hit would do super knockback. You just couldn't push up, and he would just eventually push you to your base and kill you. You know, Telmon, Little Doom, their attack speeds are garbage. The ice casters or whatever would just put ice walls in front of your battlers, prevent them from pushing up. Meat shields couldn't push up because of said ice walls in Gale Battler. And then you had stalagmites just being like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go into your backline. How do you like that? Really fucking painful. And don't forget about the fact that the giant Conjurer Fist that Bedridden can spawn loves to kill all of your backliners. Especially if you try and bring Vulcan. Which, I still didn't have at the time period. And don't you dare think about using the cannon, because he'd probably push too close to your base, so when he dies, the giant Conjurer Fist that he spawns when he dies would probably kill you too. Yeah, miserable boss, and it became one of the ones I hated the most for a while. Dr. Bright is casual tier. I do not really like rush stages. Insecure, average tier. A rush stage with red mist to kill your backliners, and RNG, forcing you to have to deal with Bucket Tagger, Kamikazes, Speedster, Regenerator, and other stuff just randomly. You have no control over it. That shit just makes this stage more difficult than it really should be. Although, beating 3-star Insecure was actually the point in which I got Vulcan. However, he was a bit late because I already killed Deathbringer and Bedridden by that time. So, yeah, rip. Exec, a boss that was the one I hated the most until a certain someone showed up. I had so many problems with Exec, mainly because of the fact that his fight is completely RNG, and because I was still hating on guides during the time I fought him. To basically explain the main reason I hate RNG, like, I can give you a perfect example on why I hate Exec's RNG. I had one attempt where Fatboy was spawned in, and he gave Fatboy a speed boost with command, so he rushed to my base, and right before he got to the base, Exec cloaked him. There was a cloaked fat boy right next to my base, and I couldn't do anything because it was the first fat boy in the stage, and I simply just didn't have the units to kill him. Yeah. And if that isn't enough of a reason why I hate Exec, then I don't know what else is. And weirdly enough, the MVP for Exec was Expo Battler. Not Vulcan, Expo Battler. Yeah, the normal form that nobody uses that's named after a marker was the one that came in clutch and helped me beat Exec, because he allowed me to have a much easier early game, which allowed me to kill the boss, even though it did take a while because, you know, DPS on Expo is not really that good compared to Vulcan. I mean, it's not really comparable, to be honest. But, you know, Expo ultimately was how I beat Exec, who was the worst boss in the game until a certain Red Maniac joined us. So, yeah. Next up, we have Catalog Muffin. Catalog Muffin, average tier. Once again, it's another one of those rush stages, which means I automatically dislike it. But also because the boss itself will always keep applying constant pressure to you. And because every attack he has applies trip, it basically means that meat shields can't really stop him. I mean, hell, even little Doombringer can't really stop him, because he'll just be ragdolled infinitely. And while Tomon, you know, is immune to that, he also is expensive for the early game, which made it a big issue. And eventually I did give up and looked up a guide, and I beat him after a few attempts. Though, I still always somewhat have a grudge on the muffins because of this. And the final group of bosses before we get to the point where Chapter 4 is released are the Anniversary with Cheese guys. Mystery 2, Enigma 2, McDonald's, Grimace Battler, Grimace, American Fat Boy, Patriot Warhead, Cyborg Rocket, and Cyborg Crockett all go into Lightwork tier, because they're all very easy. Mystery 2 and Enigma 2, I mean, they do damage, I guess. They're very unnoteworthy. McDonald's Battler and Grimace Battler do nothing. Grimace, I mean, he's somewhat of an issue. American Fat Boy and Patriot Warhead are soloed with literally just Tumored Battler. Tumored Battler and Gatling is literally all you need to do in order to kill those two. And Cyborg Crockett does actually have enough stats to be a potential danger, but I mean, he's pretty easy actually. It's about time I address the elephant in the room, being Infernus. Infernus is a miserable boss fight. No one else sees it, but somehow I'm the only one that sees that this guy is the worst boss in the game. I don't know how, and my opinion on this guy can be summarized with this one quote. Infernus, I will cut you down, tear you apart, splay the gore of your profane form across the stars! I will grind you down until the very sparks cry for mercy! My hands shall relish ending you here and now! Everything in that fight is bullshit. Treacherous Howlers one-shotting your units. Shieldman being fucking invincible and unable to die. Gehenna's ripping through everything while also being so fucking tanky. Talmon just don't know when to die. Barbaric Battlers just bullshit their way to kill my backliners every fucking time. Uzi Rambo shred everything without armor and turns him to fucking dust. There's just so much bullshit in this fight. It's not funny. It's not funny. Infernus just also says fuck you to your backliners and burns them to a crisp. Infernus, you insignificant fuck! You get your own tier. You're that miserable to fight. I hope you get run over by a train! Let's talk about an easier boss, Trenchstone. Trenchstone is actually going into the Lightwork tier. Why? Well, because he himself isn't really the danger. You have so much time to prepare for him that it's kind of easy to kill him, if time consuming. The real danger is Hatsune Miku. Or rather specifically, that bird that I hate. Foulcasters will summon birds. These birds fly in the background. And because the main damage in that fight is through trebuchet, because it was pre-treb nerf, well, you don't want to use the cannon when those birds are around because it's going to make your cannon miss completely. So, yeah, that bird that I hate, that bird that I hate, that bird that I fucking hate is the only reason why this fight is any semblance of difficulty, and why Trenchstone doesn't get his own tier below Lightwork, to be honest. Because he's that easy. And next up we have Mr. Mancer, who I'm debating between average and casual. Not because the fight itself was easy once I, snapped out of the psychosis I was in. I think I'll put him in casual. I'll just put him in casual tier. But to be more specific, back then, like for 1 and 2 star, I just whipped out Vulcan and just turned him into dust. However, for 3 star, I must have gotten sick with like Gotulus Slop Guide itis or something, because for some reason I decided to use a Gotulus guide that was like fucking Little Infernus as your main damage and like Soccer and Stunner. Now I'm aware that Stunner is very good for that stage because it counters Betty, which I guess is something that's just impossible in a Firebrand save file of the game. But Soccer Battler. Soccer Battler has always disappointed me every time I've used them. Well, that's a lie. There's that one stage in there's that one stage in Anniversary with Cheese where he was good, but that was it. That was the extent of his usefulness. One stage in a subchapter that, well, doesn't exist in 99.9% of the time. So, but eventually, I just whipped out, I'm like, this guide is stupid, it's useless, I'm pulling out Vulcan, and then I just lit him up and just killed him. Yeah. Blackmail and Melvin. I don't get why everyone hypes Blackmail to be this fucking ridiculous boss. I don't get it. It took me, I did a combined 4 attempts on this stage. I did 2 on 1 star with my own fucking strategy. That was like Nora's main damage and had like pre-rework Frigitus Battler or whatever. I do not know why I did that, but it worked, and that's ultimately what matters. Like I don't get the hate around him because it's just like, just use Commander, bro. Commander makes this guy a weakling. And, like, literally, 2 and 3 star, I beat him first try for both of those, because it's like, just use Commander, bro. He's not that difficult. Like, the tank just makes them irrelevant. I don't get, like, why we act like he's so difficult. Just use Commander. It's that easy. Alright, and now we have Extreme, who I'm putting in the problematic tier. Difficult? Yes. But it was more so a case, like, with Deathbringer, where after a few good attempts, I eventually managed to kill him. And hell, I would have beat him a lot easier and probably would have put him into average or maybe even casual tier. But during that attempt, I used the cannon too early. The trebuchet shots, got the warhead into the standing still mode. And unfortunately, I was not able to kill the warhead. It blew up and caused me to lose. And then it took me a few attempts of actually killing the boss, but dying to something else afterward. that eventually I won. And also people overhype the shit out of Extreme as well, considering the fact they're not even fighting him at peak post Chapter 4 performance either, where I use the miniguns immediately. So, once again, another boss where everyone overhypes its difficulty, in my opinion. Just like a certain firebrand does. But yeah, problematic tier. He gave me some problems, but yeah, that's about it. Alright, next up we have a bit of a speed round with Monsalt and her family going into light work and Martyr going into casual tier. The Monsalt fight is so, like, unremarkable. They don't even remember what happened. I don't even remember at all. The fight was just that boring, I guess. And Martyr in casual... Actually, should I put her in light work? I think I'll just leave her in casual. Actually, no, Actually, yeah, no, I'm putting her in light work. She was also very easy, and, which makes me not fully understand why people were saying that she was harder than Caesar. But at the same time, I did beat her before she got buffed, so that probably has something to do with it. And then Caesar's an average tier because, well, I was trying to beat him guideless, doing my own thing, like use Tarnished Trowel against him or whatever, and it, well, didn't work. And before any of you try and crucify me, this was before he got the secret phase for specifically anti-Tarnished Trowel measures. He didn't do that. He didn't do that at the time period. And eventually I gave up, looked up a guide, and it's somewhat easy to kill him from there. I legitimately almost forgot about Father, but light work tier. I probably don't need to explain anything more. Now on to the final segment, Doomsday, casual tier. All the fuck-ups were just my own problem and Armored Muffin killing Cross for some reason. Literally beat the stage in 4 minutes and 30 seconds. And it was on the first attempt that I got past the early game. So he's gonna be in casual tier. Monolith, light work. Only stage where Sorcus Battler actually does shit, instead of sitting there and doing nothing and pretending he does something. Rienbu, also light work. Which, it's crazy how easy she was, because it was like the second attempt I got past the early game. And, like, everybody was crying before Chapter 5 about how, wah, she's so difficult, wah. This just proves my point on why trying to 3-star the newest chapter on 2 more mode is but a waste of time. Because you're just going to make yourself unnecessarily suffer. Crusher. My Crusher win was literally just, I can't stop winning, I can't stop winning, I can't stop winning, I can't stop winning. Literally got a luck roll battler to successfully go off 4 times in a row. So, yeah, that happened. And as for Cross and Kronos, Cross is getting problematic and Kronos is getting light work. Yes, the difference is that large. Everybody would be saying Kronos is more difficult than Cross. Yet, my experience says the complete opposite. It is basically just RNG on whether Cross dies from Tarnished Sword or not. And it's super specific, and I just don't understand what causes you to win against Cross and what causes you to lose against him. It is basically just RNG in its pure and utter form. Meanwhile, Kronos is, well, predictable. I mean, I won't lie, I did use the clock cheese. I did use it, but I legitimately don't care. I just don't care, bro. Kronos is super easy. All you do is you use Liberty when the miniguns happen in phase 1 and the big laser happens in phase 2. You spam units, you answer the math questions correctly, that's all you do. And you win. It's that easy. It's just that easy. Yeah, everybody says Kronos is the more difficult part. Like, bro. Son, I'm crime. Outcast. I did beat Outcast before Chapter 5. Hell, I did like the same day that the update came out. He's going into Lightwork tier because I literally beat him with my own strategy. That I almost died because my base is Liberty and it was like 500 health or something like that. But yeah, pretty easy. Outcast and Blight. Blight is going to be Lightwork and Outcast is going to be average. Now, technically, Outcast was I would say it was a problematic difficulty boss. However, that was just because of the fact that Zeus was helping them out and, lagging my computer with a thunderstorm that rolled around. So, I wouldn't really say that it was them, it was just the environment fucking me over. Blight, on the other hand, Blight is very easy. He just gets decimated by Tarnished Slingers. And hell, most people, they need 3 Tarnished Slingers, but not me. 2 Tarnished Slingers did the job. Because Winged Battler RNG caused the Spit attack to hit the Tarnished Slingers, which dropped them into Death Ray mode or whatever. I mean, it's luck. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's just luck. The Chapter 5 group is here, and so now we're going to rank them as well now. Chef Sarge, very unremarkable. I don't remember how the fight went. Fun Kid, very easy. Literally the only reason this boss is a challenge is just the stupid mini games you have to do. Bulk Kid, didn't fight because, hell, I didn't even know that this guy could spawn until after I beat the boss. And we got Lycan here, who's also going into the Lightwork tier because, well, I tried doing attempts without a guide. However, he was kicking my ass. Hell, not even Lycan. It was just Stem. But once I looked up a guide, I killed him first try. Yeah, pretty easy. And, well, we have Mortis and Server here, which is another case of, well, I haven't fought them. I mean, at this point, I haven't even beaten 1-star Mortis just because I suck at shooting at projectiles. And, micromanaging everything else. And here we have the full ranking of every boss in the game in difficulty on 3 stars. Here's the name of the tier list for those who want to use it themselves. And, well, to be honest, I don't even know what video to make after this. I mean, I could make videos on the 2 more mode community packs because I've only done 1 star on those ones. And hell, I'm pretty sure it's either Compact 2 or 3. I haven't even beaten the final level on that one just because I refuse to do no base. But, I mean, it's either that or Sandbox Slop. That's pretty much all I can do for just the battle bricks at this point. Because, I refuse to do Chapter 5 on 2 more mode, really. So, I guess see you whenever I make a video again.